Okay, Father Miller here. Welcome back. Good to have you, Archer. It's
You
been a while.
fool, you fooled me there, Father. I lifted the headphones off, thought the music stopped, put the headphones back down, and at last. And yes, it has been a while, hasn't it? It's good to have something to do on.
So I'm playing with different layouts on this one.
All right.
I don't know which one you guys like, if it's like that or that. But no, I was just explaining. So last week I was in Minnesota because Dad had a chance to get a reservation up there to go fish. And I was supposed to do that in late July, but he had a chemo treatment.
Oh, yeah.
So the last 2 weeks of July, I was in Philadelphia, then last week in Minnesota.
Oh, well.
And now I'm laughing because I don't know if Father Apple knew, but Ian is in Wichita.
Oh, is that right?
5 hours away from me. It's like I could have got down to see him this week.
Are you filming or what?
He's filming something.
Yeah. So he's working.
I know Wichita from the song, and I can't think where from. I don't know. Is it a song?
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I knew it recognised something, McCandle. I thought, where's it from? I know someone, of course. Yeah, it's where Dorothy doesn't Wizard of Oz, isn't it? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, what's new with you two?
Yeah, Colin, what you been up to?
I was just saying to the father, being slightly miffed because I should this weekend be doing one of my favourite things in the world, and I should be in Wales doing a reenactment show over the weekend. Not only that, but it's one of my favourite shows. But unfortunately, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, my car, I got a notification from my car manufacturers. It was subject to a safety recall. That had an issue. I mean, the car's not the car. I've had the car for about 10 years, probably if not more, and it's older than that. So it's not a new car. So this issue's been discovered with the airbag. And then my insurance company says to me, look, because it's subject to recall, you cannot drive this car except to take it to be repaired. I thought, okay, fair enough. Booked it in to be fixed. I mean, okay, I understand that. I can understand it. I had to wait a few days for the booking, but I was partly my own fault. I left it a little bit. And then I got a phone call 2 days before it was due to be repaired, saying we're having problems with getting the parts in. It was due to be done on the 30th of July. It still has not been done. I am not a happy bunny. I'm getting so crazy because I can't go very far from home because I'm not all right. And as I said, I should have been in Wales. And my computer has also now decided it doesn't want to play Might and Magic 8, which has been playing fine for the last week. But on the plus side, I get to speak to not one but 2 priests who are trained to listen to people complain at them or something along those lines.
Good to see you, DJ.
Well, when those things happen, you're just suffering, and that conforms you more and more to Christ. And imagine yourself up there on the cross, suffering away.
I think I told you, Father Apple, what I have in my confessional.
What?
The quote from Escriva.
Which one?
Because when the person just goes on and on and on, it's like, don't say this person annoys me. Say this person sanctifies me.
I would say at the risk of triggering the church lady and hopefully not requiring her appearance, let's say that there have been times when I have mentioned Christ's name, but not necessarily in a good way.
I've heard that does happen from time to time.
Yes, occasionally frustration comes out. And stronger words as well, actually.
I don't think I've been without a car. Let's see. When I went to grad school back in, when was that? 2010, 2008, 2008, 2009.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot you were in DC.
I was in DC for 3 years.
Yeah. You have my sympathies.
Yeah. There are parts of it that are okay, but I was without my car for 2 years. But even then, in a big city, I could walk where I wanted to go or take the subway. But I've not been without transportation since I was a little kid. Yeah, so that's going to be frustrating going on 2 weeks.
Trying to remember, were you at TC or the Dominican house or?
So the Redemptorist Fathers had
Okay.
a college down the street a ways, and I lived there. It was mostly empty when I was there because they had a hard time getting boarders, but it was a nice place to live.
I was just gonna say one of my friends just became the new CFO of Catholic U.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
They've had some issues over the years, but I think they're okay. I was only in the canon law piece. I wasn't
Mhm.
in the larger school.
So is that just a religious education establishment, or is it general education? I'm not sure what the correct way to
Yeah.
put it is.
So the Catholic University it was founded as a place in the nation's capital to sort of legitimize the Catholic religion in America, which was historically
Right.
a very Protestant country.
Yeah.
But by putting their college right there in the center of the capital, they thought that would give them some more honor or whatever. And it's a beautiful campus, and they have a lot of different subjects. And then there's
Yeah. So it's just like over here where you have a Church of England or Catholic school. They have
Well,
a bias.
I mean, it's
they have a bias, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but they are a general education establishment. It's just they have certain.
Well, the difference though is at Catholic U they also have a seminary attached to it. They have a number of seminaries
That's the word I
attached
was
to it, I
looking for.
think.
Seminary. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
And they have
Well,
other
that's
programs attached to it as well.
Well, I mean that makes sense to me. I mean, the guys obviously if they've got there's some like that. Obviously, there's going to be a strong religious, and obviously in this case, in the case because there's got a Catholic background there, and given that, as you, Father Miller, are evidence for, priests quite often go into the education sector. It makes sense if you could do your seminarian, your Catholic training. Again, please forgive me if I
No, you're
use
fine.
wrong phrases.
It's not just an educational thing because all priests have to go through it.
Yeah, but I'm
In
thinking
my case, when we get ordained for my diocese, you get thrown into the classroom, whether you really want to or not.
Oh no! What I'm thinking is I see is that obviously. I mean, I should imagine that just off the top of my head that there is a degree of similarity between an education environment and a church environment where you are guiding, where you're giving guidance, where you're a little bit of education perhaps for people. I'm not putting this very well. But I would think if you're at a university where if you're doing your seminar, if you're studying, you're doing your priestly education at a university, which also has, I would imagine a lot of them do, an educational syllabus just for teachers in general, you're in a really good place to get that part of your education at the same time, as opposed to being stuck in the backwoods somewhere at seminary where you're taught to be a priest, but they have to get somebody to teach you to be a teacher.
Yeah, there's different models. So when I was in minor seminary, that was in my hometown in Davenport. Father Chris and I were there at the same time, and that was it felt like going to a secular college. It was small, but it had a Catholic identity, and we had a few theological classes, but it was just like going to college. When we went to seminary, it was at Mundelein, which is in this whole area that's around a lake with woods, and it's in the Chicago suburbs, but it really is just seminarians there. There aren't other people on campus.
See, and that's the same similar situation I had. Was I went to school in Philadelphia at St. Charles, and it was just the seminary. It had the college seminary attached to it. So there was the lower side, which is a separate building for the college seminarians, basically those going in from right out of high school, then the graduate side, which is the theology. Now, if you go to a place like Emmitsburg, Maryland, Mount St. Mary's, it's a seminary that's attached to a college. So not only do you have kids going to college, but you also have guys studying theology in a separate part. And it's basically all on the same campus.
Which does make me wonder. It's a question. I mean, I understand it. I understand that the ordained priesthood within the Catholic Church is only open to males. Am I correct in thinking that there are what one might consider lower responsibility jobs which are open to both? So you can.
Yeah. If you go to any parish in America, chances are that You've either got your main secretary, liturgist, or business manager is a woman.
So I'm wondering is there a I'm genuinely interested to go to. Is there an equivalent for non-priests, for people who aren't going for the priesthood, but within the Catholic Church? An equivalent for seminaries, or is it just?
No, I think I know what you're saying. You mean to be able to do the functions that we do as a priest? No.
Yeah. I appreciate what I'm thinking. Is obviously within the church, there's certain roles. There are certain roles, and the ones to do with the priesthood, if that works, are restricted to males. That's fine. But obviously, I'm just wondering: are there other things in the church that the church trains people for and has specific educational establishments and courses for?
Yeah,
that are below the priest that both genders can fill.
Yeah, so like for instance, at my parish, we just hired a youth minister, and that's a young girl out of college.
Oh, wow.
Our director of religious education is a woman, and so those are more functionary or teaching tasks.
Yeah,
the priesthood and the diaconate is reserved specifically for sacramental ministry.
Right.
And so by virtue of being the sacramental minister, the priest is also usually the pastor who has all temporal authority as well in the parish. But he won't always have time to do that all by himself. So I have probably 30 employees at the school and another 15 at the parish. I'm not going to do all the HR myself. I hire somebody to do that.
Oh, obviously, yeah. Yes, of course.
Yeah, and in our parish, we're a smaller parish. We have maybe 2 lay people. One is the secretary, one does the HR, payroll, and all that stuff too. But
yeah, you're supposed to do your jacket up when you're standing up, Mr. President. You're only supposed to undo the one button on your jacket when you sit down, sir.
Look at Trump.
Yeah.
But there again, like Colin, I've been at parishes where they were so small, I cleaned the toilets. Along with everything else. So I
suppose one's wondering is the non-sacramental roles. I think that's the way you use one.
It just depends on the size of the parish.
And one thing is, are they ones that the people that fill those roles rely on that whatever their general education is, or do they need? Is there some sort of education that's specific to
if somebody's going to do our payroll, they need to have accounting background.
I think he's talking more like a church basic stuff. So yeah, if somebody's going
like
to
a CCD teacher,
or if somebody's going to be like a parish life coordinator, we have some of those that kind of, especially if you don't have a priest who lives there, you probably have somebody who's called the PLC, the parish life coordinator, and they might kind of organize parish life there when the priest isn't around, and those people do have some specialized training.
Right,
it's not to the same extent that we do, but
that's what I was thinking. Is always that there's most of it is general, but I would imagine there are some things there which are specific to a Catholic environment, and that's what I'm thinking. Is presumably the church will give that particular education, even though it's not on the level of. Good grief! My hands are moving around so much here. I'm not even on camera. I could be molding something very.
Hey, so did Putin get in the beast with Trump?
He did.
Oh wow,
he did.
Okay. Interesting.
Now, on the other hand, I will allow Secret Servicemen to walk around with their jackets undone because that's how they can draw their weapons faster.
Right. Interesting.
Someone who used to wear a jacket, quite a lot.
I hate wearing the jacket.
Jackets, I don't mind. I've hated wearing ties all my life. When I left, when I moved at secondary school, what you would call
college?
No, not college. The one below.
Oh, high school.
High school. Thank you. The ones that we've now adopted, but we didn't when I was at school. Up to up to fifth form, but you had a compulsory education.
He's smiling.
I had to wear a jacket. I had to wear a tie. So the day when we went to sixth form college, we didn't have to wear ties anymore. I went up with uniform and I took a tie off, and I've only worn a tie on Suffolk since. It's part of a uniform or something. When we do something, but
yeah, those days have been long gone. I think it's probably been 23 years since I wore it. No, I had to wear a tie the first 2 years. a Prethi. Once we got to theology, we could wear the clerics all the time.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Did you guys have a tie burning ceremony?
I don't remember. I want to say that we used to tie around a statue.
Yeah, when there was a diaconate ordination coming up, we'd have a bonfire. I think it was in the spring, and then all the deacons would come and bring a tie and throw it on the bonfire. It's good times.
Oh, so a tie that they had, not the tie that they had to wear.
Right.
Because when in Prethi and college, we had to wear the black suit, white shirt, black tie.
Yeah.
So I mean,
we rarely had to wear ties, but we did for fundraisers.
Did you ever get confused for either Mormons or government agents in that case?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
We did have Jehovah's
priest
Witnesses.
or man in black.
We did have Jehovah's Witnesses come to the rectory, my second rectory, 10, 12 years ago. And I wasn't in my clerks, and they didn't know it was the Catholic rectory because it wasn't right next to the church.
Oh, right.
They tried to convert you. I ended up trying to convert them. When I asked them who had the authority to decide that the Gospel of Thomas was out, that's when they left, because I read them the end of the Gospel of Thomas.
I remember
about women having become men to go to heaven.
Someone did. I think it must have been a comedy show, a cartoon commercial or something, where Jehovah's Witnesses or one of the proselytizing Christian denominations comes up, knocks on the door, someone invites him in and say, "Wait, we don't know what to do with this." What? You're inviting us in, but we don't know what to do now. We used to be chatting the door.
Oh yeah, that's Black Books. That's Black Books.
Yeah,
I know. I think I showed that clip on here.
Oh, possibly. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting.
Yeah, there it is.
It's an interesting aspect of these things, I think.
Let's bring that up real quick. Let's see.
What is this?
Black Books.
I don't know it.
Irish guy runs a bookstore and hates his customers.
Yes?
Hello, we were wondering if we could talk to you about Jesus.
Grace, come in!
What?
I'd love to hear about Jesus. What's he up to now? Come on in, come on.
Are you sure?
Yes, in, come in. It's a trick.
It's just generally people don't say yes.
Well, I'm not people. Come on in, let's talk beliefs.
I'm not sure that's what. Yeah, that maybe yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a show. I think it's not on BritBox now, but it's on YouTube. Basically, a guy that owns a bookstore that hates people, and it's hard to put into words, but it's up there with the IT crowd for me.
Okay. So now, is this Trump-Putin meeting making any waves in Great Britain? Does anybody care over there?
I don't think so. I was saying to the father earlier on. Sorry, this is confusing. To Father Miller earlier on. It's confusing. Father. Different.
That's okay.
I do I signed up a few years ago for YouGov polls, which I believe is run by us, but it's an international thing, which the government uses to poll people. It's one of these things that because you have to sign up for it, it's kind of self-selecting. And I was saying to the Chris that yesterday I actually had a poll. A lot of the times they're absolutely rubbish and useless, but sometimes they're actually interesting things. And one of them was a lot of questions about Russia, Ukraine.
Yeah.
And every single one of the questions was the way they were phrased was every single one of them. I mean, there was something interesting like, do you think Russia? How do you think this is going to end? Do you think this is going to end with Russian victory, or etc., or whatever? But every single one of the ones had a clear bias towards Ukraine. And I said, not one of the questions had them. The way that most of them, they know the multiple choice. Once you get a question, you get a grid. Half that's the question either side, and sort of yes,
One of the
maybe etc. And I said every single one of them. There was not one answer on there which was either pro Russia, which is okay for us, or even neutral. Every single one of them was one way or other. It was based on how bad was Russia in this.
Because everything I read on it was that Russia wants that because it wants the farmland and it wants more access to the ocean and to Europe, and it wants to keep NATO out.
Yeah, that's I think the main thing.
Ukraine wants to fight, or the powers behind it want to fight because we want to have more military contracts so we can make more bombs and guns and airplanes and sell them, because we haven't had a major war for now 15, 20 years. So all those munitions are now running out of their shelf life. They have to be replaced. And so one of my buddies who works at the Arsenal here, which is a major depot for arms and ammunition in Illinois, says that that's one of the main reasons they're giving all this stuff to Ukraine, is that it's about to expire. They want to use it up and then bring in new stuff. So it's all I don't think there's anything in there about like freedom or democracy or the good of Ukrainian people. It's all bullcrap.
I have to reach out to a priest friend of mine from Camden, New Jersey. He was a year behind me. He was a bi-ritual priest. So not only Archie, he's like Father Apple and myself, but he also is a Ukrainian rite.
So he can do the Roman rite and
he
Ukrainian rite.
It's just trying to figure out how to explain that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I understand that. I didn't realize it was. So is that still?
When you say Catholic, when you say Catholic, you think of what we do normally, but there's like 27 different branches.
Oh, right,
Catholic,
okay.
And they're all defined by the ritual.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
but we all still believe the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I know the major split was obviously in history. I know that the major split was the Great Schism.
Yeah, 1054.
The Roman Catholic Church and what we now call the Orthodox churches. But I was never sure if the Eastern Orthodox churches were still reasonably Catholic in their approach, if that makes sense, as opposed to obviously
when the Protestant churches because we recognize them as having the 7 sacraments like we do. As I would tell my students when I threatened to send them to Siberia, they could go to St. Vladimir's and still go to confession and communion and it'd be valid. One thing I discovered this week, I didn't know it, is Razor Fist, I guess, is really anti-Catholic.
Oh,
well, maybe that's. I think he's very pro-Lutheran.
I thought he was Orthodox.
No, his father was a Protestant preacher.
I didn't know that. I thought it was Orthodox. But I was reaching out to Lady Gravemaster about it because there was something he posted about papists. It's like,
oh yeah, I've watched a lot of his. But the thing with Razor Fist is that he doesn't say anything without being able to back it up.
Right.
So he'll bring up a lot of the same criticisms that Luther had. Was it the 16th century? And then he's just keep repeating that without the understanding that we've been reforming those things for the last 500 years.
Yeah, he mentioned Leo V and John Tetzel the other day.
Yeah. But back to what Colin was talking about with the Orthodox is that we do believe a lot of the same things, but because they lack a central authority, they have diverted on a lot of different stuff. Like they will allow for marriage and divorce and remarriage, and they'll also allow for contraception sometimes, and a lot of them are beholden to the civil government because they're a national church.
Since you mentioned it, Father Paul, I'm genuinely never sure what is the Catholic Church's official. I've heard variations on this, on contraception. I have heard it said that one of the popes, I don't know which one it went on, but obviously must be one of the 20th century ones, said that he would not condone it, but wasn't a church. What is the church's actual?
So, following the Second Vatican Council, Paul VI wrote an encyclical called Humanae Vitae, and in that he cautioned against various modern interventions in the natural human reproductive cycle, on human life. And so he gives some warnings that if you allow for things like contraception, you're then going to have a breakdown in marriage, and you're going to have an increase in abortion and other moral problems and infidelity that come around it.
No, well,
And so the church has always said on any matters of like human life that it should be always follow a natural process. That's why we don't allow you to just kill yourself when you get old,
Yeah.
or to have a lot of body modification other than, a couple of tattoos maybe. But as far as like genital, not manipulation. That's the wrong thing.
Mutilation.
Mutilation.
Yeah.
In the same way that when you do things like artificial contraception, you're kind of hijacking God's natural process that was created. So we say we have no authority to allow any of that stuff. Likewise, if somebody's going to take on a medicine that's going to be do more harm than good, we'd say you don't have to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's a lot of other knock-on issues that people don't fully appreciate. Even with in vitro fertilization, that a lot of people I know are products of, it produces a lot of fertilized eggs that just become embryos, and they're just sitting in a freezer somewhere. What do you do with them?
So does the church actually forbid contraception, or just simply say it does not allow?
Well, and again, you have to understand what is the intention. So if a person is taking the pill for a legit medical reason, that's permitted if the intention is the medical reason. But if they're taking the pill to prevent a pregnancy, then the intention is wrong.
We had a debate about this in seminary, though, with our morals professor, because what happens if you're a nun going into a third world country where the prospect of a struggle snuggle is very possible? You have no intention of ever having a child, and if you do get pregnant, it could be even worse for the person. So if a nun goes on contraception to prevent an unintended pregnancy through the violent means, is that sinful? And we had a lot of back and forths against that. So
what was the ultimate decision?
Intention matters. If your intention is, especially within a marriage, to not have kids, that's not allowed. And so then each other case you just kind of take on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, because thanks for that. I mean, as I said, I've never been certain exactly, because it's like the I mean, obviously I think we are all, I think, a product of the English view of rights. Rights are the rights are something you have unless someone says you don't have them. That the government makes legislation to curtail rights, or to change them if something changes. Whereas the continental system says the only rights you've got are what the government gives you.
Well,
so that's why I was wondering. I can see a difference between you saying, okay, we do not allow something and we forbid it. There's a line there that forbidding, not permitting something is perhaps a passive.
Yeah. So the American founders took the best of British political philosophy and put that in the Constitution, stating that your rights come from God and the government is there to protect them. The continental system is you are nothing. The king or the legislature or the parliament gives you rights.
Yeah.
Depending on what your system is in the continent or in the East.
Which is why we have such a problem with the EU. Or one of them.
Yeah, definitely. And you're seeing it now in all the free speech protests going on in Great Britain. Is the Brits are like, hey, this is not what we signed up for. We invented free speech, and now we don't have it.
Yeah, and then our prime minister turns on, and
I just remembered what I was going to say. So the government is suing again the Little Sister. Oh,
the what?
Suing the Little Sister. I'm sorry, I'm looking for the Trump video in the background. The government's suing the Little Sisters for the Poor again.
What, because the contraceptive mandate?
Yeah.
They already won that
New
in the
Jersey.
Supreme Court, though.
Yeah, but Pennsylvania and New Jersey filed it under a different thing. So
I'm sure they'll be fine. But Colin, where you're at, have there been any protests?
Not that I've noticed around me, but there have been protests. I mean, certainly I follow people like the Lotus Eaters and Gobby Guy and other people, and there have been protests all over the place. Although a lot of them don't seem to be. We actually had, I don't know if it's got over there this week. One of our big discussions at the moment is over our justice system. And I don't know if it's the phrase is that familiar over there, but for quite a while now, one of the nicknames for our Prime Minister has been two-tier care.
Yeah.
And we had an event just over a year ago where an immigrant where a young man whose parents had immigrated from Rwanda.
You're talking about Southport?
Yes, the Southwood incident.
Right.
And that led up to. So I wasn't sure. Obviously, I'm never sure exactly what gets across the other side. I don't follow news that kind of stuff. But yeah, basically, what happened for that is we had there were a lot of protests for that, and a lot of people. And the government came out and said, Keir Starmer comes out, goes, we will hunt you down, and all this sort of thing. And then we also had about a year ago, we had a Labour local council member who was at a rally, and I don't know what the rally was for, but basically he was filmed as talking about people being Nazi, N-words and fascists, and that they should have their throats cut. And he literally did that amazing thing. Mm-hmm. Now, that went viral, and after a surprisingly amount of time, he was eventually charged. He was actually in trial this week, and he was acquitted because mainly what he said was in the heat of the moment. And as people said, okay, so there's a lady in, there's a woman in jail for about 30 months or something.
Yeah, the Facebook mom. What's
because she I had it.
It's like Abby or Libby or something like that.
No, I had it just a second ago, and I forgot as soon as you said that. But yeah, basically, she put up a post, which she then withdrew almost immediately thereafterwards, obviously in the heat of the moment, and so on and so on and so forth. We've had a lot of these cases where, because they've taken an opinion, or that their opinions and their politics have been seemingly critical of what's going on, they get harsh sentences, they get persuaded, and yet you get this guy who's trying to put back, and when he goes on trial, he says, "Oh, I didn't mean it. I've got neurodivergent problems, and it was in the heat of the moment," and he gets acquitted.
Lucy Connolly,
that's it. Thank you. I had literally. I was trying to avoid using names because, again, I don't know how much in the.
Yeah, no, I'm fascinated with it because I think the British they're kind of. It's funny. I kind of thought they were trailing our politics, but they've certainly struck a different path because at our last election we got a different party and things began to change.
Yeah.
In your last election, the election went really far one way, and yet nothing changed.
Well,
and so because of that, people.
I don't know. I mean, it
did change. It just got worse.
It got worse. Yeah.
Yeah. This was something I saw on Gutfeld last night, that cops in the UK are now posing underground or undercover to arrest anybody that catcalls. Whistles.
We had another. I mean, we've got something. We had another case.
Between the memes, I'd probably be thrown in jail for some of the stuff I post.
Well, we are sort of half joking. You're going to be careful what you say, just in case. Certainly what you post. But we've had another case which we had recently, which has recently ended. Was again about a year or so ago at.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm going out on my afternoon run. I enjoy running. I'm trying to get fitter and trying to get a bit more cardio done. What happens if I do get catcalled? I feel diminished. I feel I just feel uncomfortable. It just makes me feel a little bit like, what are they getting out of it?
Okay, those
makes me feel uneasy.
Not illegal.
And then instantly it's just ruined my fun. I just don't want to.
Okay. How about, my dear?
My name is PC Abby Hayward.
I
work out of North Division, so I'm on Runnymede Safer Neighbourhood team.
I want to hear what Colin says.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay. She's in Runnymede. How about, my dear, and again, I may well be coming at this from a different perspective to your good self. How about if someone whistles and says, "Oh, you look nice"? How about you take that as an intended compliment? What is what you know? I mean, I get the point, and I do. I mean, obviously, I'm a bloke. Like I'm a bloke. I don't have a female perspective. I can understand, but I can understand that. Yeah, it's a bit oh, what, oh, darling, that sort of thing that you used to get the probably builders whistle. But at the same time, they wouldn't be doing that. That is it's maybe not particularly polite form or particularly clever, but it's a form of it's still a form of appreciation for the female form in general and that particular person.
Well, and I think the proper place for disciplining that is in the family. As boys are brought up by their moms and dads, tell them what's appropriate in public and what's not.
Exactly. Yeah,
Not the government to do that for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's one of my favorite things is in the very obviously one of the most famous, often quoted memes, certain spheres, is from the movie Aliens. I say we take it nuclear from Earth, but it's the only way to be sure. However, I think there's a much, much more important idea that comes about 3 or 4 lines later. If you remember the scene, you've got Burke says Burke, the company man, comes to us with a company that, which is understandable, I think, pretty fair enough. Says, you can't do it. Ripley turns around and says, I think you find that Corporal Hicks is the ranking military authority and he has the authority to do it. Burke turns around and says something like, Corporal Hicks, he's just the grunt. You then see Paul Weiser, the actor, or the character, you then see the character stop and say, oh, no offense intended, because he realized what he said, to which the most important line of all, none taken, you're right, I'm just a grunt. People are very, very quick, I think, these days to actively take offense. Let's go back to this thing we were saying earlier on about things said in the heat of the moment. But in the heat of the moment, okay, but you either something's in the heat of the moment, says, okay, look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean you put it back, or everybody gets unfit. The biggest thing over here seems to be the way it's treated. It's the way it's treated by our media. You got our media will not show. There's an ongoing meme where, okay, if the media reports a crime and doesn't actually give the identity of the person, they're not white. And this sort of thing. We had an incident at Manchester Airport a year or so ago where a video surfaced of 3 police officers, 1 male and 2 females, I believe. And the first video showed them.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, and it showed a police officer apparently stamping on the head. And there's a lot of outcry about it. It's understandable. A different angle showed it so that he didn't look like he was stabbing down by the guy. But then later on, video comes out showing much more detail of this and about the fact that these people had attacked the police and putting a lot more context in it.
And that guy's beating the brakes off of those women. It was nuts. Yeah.
And and the police's argument. Oh, we want to find out who released the second video. They seem to be quite happy that the police go down for something when actually all the police. I give it that 1 or 2 more armed officers, obviously concerned in a situation like that their weapons could be taken as well. As people over here said, they're damn lucky. If that had been an airport in the United States, there wouldn't have been any trials. They'd have been dead. Because your officers, being used to being armed in armed situations, will quite rightly have opened fire.
It depends, but I mean, it certainly could have happened. There's a lot of guns in those airports you don't even see. So.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, I used to be working. I mean, I very, very vaguely remember.
Michelle had an interesting comment that just popped up. She stopped going to her gym because men were approaching her for dates. Yeah, that's a tough one. I knew a lady whose husband passed away, and she went to a grief support group for other people who'd lost their spouses, and she said within half an hour she was getting asked for dates from these other widowers, and she said that really wasn't appropriate.
Mm.
Yeah, I certainly note that it's a problem. The question is who best to address it. Is it a government issue or is it
Yeah.
someone else? Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm not familiar with Michelle's situation, but we again, I can only speak from our side of the pond, but we again have this thing where, what a lot of the issues, the free speech issues are kind of second order. The first order, the prime thing is a lot of these protests at hotels where they are housing legal and illegal migrants, and a lot of points is because there's a lot of stories coming out of them where it's clearly obvious, and it should be blindingly obvious to anybody with a brain that people, I mean, I won't even specify gender, people coming from one culture to another culture which has radically different attitudes to certain things are going to have problems fitting in. When it comes to, for example, a culture which has certain very different views towards personal space, towards responsibility, towards women and girls and children than the country they go to, that is likely to especially when they go like that's likely to cause issues. And the problem is that the powers that be don't seem to want to, or the apologists don't want to acknowledge that difference. And they want to, and anybody that brings that difference up, they're the ones that get pounced on.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that I knew from many years ago was a police officer in a small town up in northern Iowa, which is the state I'm in. And this little small town imported a bunch of people to work at their meatpacking facility that had come from a certain war-torn country in Africa. And he said prior to them coming in, we would usually have some fights on Friday night with two rednecks getting drunk and fighting each other in their front yard. And that was an issue. But after this other group of people moved in, it was now people getting attacked with machetes. And he said nobody in those little towns were prepared for the change that happened when they came in. And it really changes the face of your town. I'm not saying that those were bad or evil people, but for them, their culture was very different from the one they were going into.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's very difficult. Well, if you come to a very different culture.
I'm just trying to find something in the background.
Oh boy! For firstly, packages I got a bit heavy and serious. I do apologise.
Well, I was trying to think of some nerd news to talk about. I wasn't able to go see the Red Sonja movie. It was only out for one day, but then I heard some odd things about it. So I'll probably watch it when it comes out on streaming.
I'm slightly confused. I've heard interest for once from the same sort of sources that I not tend to. I mean, obviously, most of us are self-selecting. Different things on Superman or James Gunn's Superman and Fantastic Four. I've heard different valuations from the same sort of, normally give the same sort of opinions. So I'm thinking both of those for once. I haven't seen a Marvel movie since I'm aware Superman's not a Marvel. But the last Marvel movie I saw was Endgame. But I might well, when it becomes available to watch, I might well watch Superman, and I might well watch the Fantastic Four, because I've had varying comments about something DC, some other things, and I was reasonably interested in Alien Earth, but then Mr. H watched it a couple of and they've said that it's quite gory. And that puts me off. So depending upon that, and then other people said, I mean, I was talking to mentioned this to the rabbi stream, and he said some bits and pieces, but it's not that bad.
So I didn't see.
I'm looking for.
I didn't see Fantastic Four. On Superman, we had a good conversation about that actually on the last one of these we did. And I think the thing with DC is that you've got so many different kinds of Elseworld stories that Superman, if you take it from the standpoint of it being a different story, a different part of the multiverse or whatever they call it in DC, on its face, I don't know if I'd call it a bad movie. if you're looking for the classic Superman storyline, it wasn't that. He really did subvert a lot of things. So I could understand the criticism on that side of it.
Mm.
And likewise with Fantastic Four, how many different versions of Fantastic Four have we had now? And
Well, as
I
I
think this
probably
is the fourth one
mentioned,
if you include the Roger Corman one.
I finished reading both versions of Injustice, Gods Among Us when I was on vacation.
Oh, right.
So basically, what happens if Superman turned evil and enforced his will on everybody? It was pretty good. They made a cartoon out of it. I mean, besides the video games, they made it into an animated movie, which I have to see.
But then I think too, all of those the intellectual property is running out in a few years. So I wonder if they're trying to make a different sort of Superman so they can continue to make movies year over year.
Very
But when
well
it goes
could
into
be.
public domain, what happens then?
Something that struck me listening to, again, another reason why I wouldn't mind actually being brought some that quite struck me listening to the reviews of Superman in particular, and to a degree Fantastic Four, although I understand that Fantastic Four does address this to some degree, is they both, Superman in particular, sounds like the second movie of a trilogy. It sounds like the story is like it starts with him. As I understand, it literally starts with him. That scene him crash to earth is the first scene. So the first scene you see, he's been beaten. You don't see that or anything, and you know the sort of thing. They both. Superman was certainly very much reminds me of a sort of a Empire Strikes Back rather than a Star Wars or New Hope or whatever you're going to put it. Whereas you're starting in the middle of a storyline. You know, Superman, Lois already knows who Superman is. etc. Whereas, and it literally starts with it. You know, it literally starts as if it's the opening scene of season 2 after the cliffhanger at the end of season 1. Well, I'd have to come back. So I don't know. So without seeing the movie, I couldn't. But that certainly was the impression that I got a lot of the time. Yes, PJ, Star Wars, but it's called Star Wars. You're perfectly correct.
I know.
I remember when that first came out, seeing it with I think my mum or dad or someone. Well, why is it called Episode 4?
Yeah. And I think part of the problem too is that all the people that are producing and directing these movies are just not very good storytellers. Yeah. Go ahead, Father.
Oh no, I was just going to say on YouTube they've been bringing up clips of Man of Steel, and I've been wanting to rewatch that because I actually don't think it's as bad as a movie as I remembered.
Well, I remember it getting panned when it came out. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember why all the hate was for that one.
Well, no, I know some of the complaints. I mean, I know Ian's been poor Ian. I don't know if you heard this. He hated. He right at the start. He didn't want to see. He panned. He wasn't very interested much of it because his family wanted to go and see it. He went and he said he went and saw Superman 5 times.
No way. He hated it.
Yes, with his because his fans wanted. Yeah, because he's fat. I would hope he doesn't mind me saying it, but he should be here. But no, he said it a couple of times on Mr. Brown's feed, for example. Yeah, because different members of his family like going to cinema with him because you know, which is good. But how do you sit back? How do you get back at the end of the episode? How do you sit back on the fourth one and not go? I've seen this. I've seen. You know, how do you do that? You know. But yeah, I mean, there seems to be a lot of things about that.
I don't know.
I mean, my biggest question, I think, actually is okay. So hold on a second. From what I understand, again, what I want to see is okay. If Supergirl has to go to another planet on a red star,
that's something I brought up.
To get drunk, how does she get back? Does she have a spaceship that she gets there? You know, I mean,
likely.
In the comics, they do.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well,
And honestly, if
they can
Mr. Terrific's driving the type of ship that he has, I'm sure they probably have something.
Well, but what Justin brought up was for her, though, the destruction of Krypton just happened for her very recently.
Right.
So she's probably dealing with a lot of grief or with,
Mm.
traumatic stress. How is she going to deal with that? It could be interesting if they take it in that direction.
Yeah, it will be interesting. But I mean, I'm thinking back to the comics. Fine, you don't need to do that, dear. You go to the Fortress of Solitude, you get in the shrinking way, and you go down to Caldor City and get drunk. Caldor City's got an artificial red sun.
Well, in Injustice, they end up locking up Superman in a room with the red sun. So, I mean, if she really wants to get drunk, why doesn't she do something like that?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just a thought.
And then the other jokes are not repeatable in front of good
Thank
God-fearing men such as yourselves regarding certain perfectly normal biological acts. But
yeah, we don't have to go down that road.
no, I say simply because I mean the thing is, it's not new. It's the sort of thing that people with a certain mindset said for years. But I was going to be Superman then.
Well, I know that the movie Nobody, the sequel, came out today. I don't know if I'm going to go see that. I love the original.
I've not seen those. I know. I'm still not sure. I might when Alien Earth's finished. I might give it a watch because I've said there's only a couple of bits and close your eyes to get past them.
Okay.
But I'm interested. I am interested when it's finished. I think I'm going to make this finish again. The Wednesday season 2 is out, and I did enjoy season 1 of Wednesday.
Let's see. I'm just trying to find. There it is. Found something I wasn't exactly intending to share, but what the heck? Part of the reason I love old school Superman comics.
Yeah.
See the text. Yeah, there it is.
PJ.
See, this is why I collect the old Superman comics. I love these.
Oh, sorry.
I got to read that to our listeners.
Yeah.
Attention, a nuclear submarine is trapped on the bottom of Metropolis Bay. Its controls were jammed when the admiral's wife was permitted to steer the sub in honor of Ladies' Day. Calling Superman. That's good.
But that's the thing. I love these old Superman, Bronze Age, Silver Age. That's why Justin sent the picture. I got to go see what he has.
Yeah.
So here's a little bit of nerd trivia for you guys before we close out tonight. I recently have started getting into vinyl because
I saw
the house my mom moved into recently has a huge old record player in the basement, a big console, 6-foot long thing. And I found a copy of the soundtrack for the Black Hole movie that Justin wanted and got that. He said the next one he wants is The Last Unicorn. Now, the problem with The Last Unicorn soundtrack is it was only printed in an LP in Germany. The Last Einhorn, okay? But here, it came out in 1982. 1982 also gave us E.T., Mad Max 2, Tron, Rocky 3, the Dukes of Hazzard movie, The Thing, Secret of Nim, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, First Blood, and Conan the Barbarian.
Good grief.
All in 1 year.
Wow.
Can you imagine what that would have been? Well, I was only 5 years old, but...
Yeah.
I have to admit, as I said, about 2 months ago, I was somewhat distracted by this little thing going on called the Falklands War. But other than that...
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was in the Territorial Army at the time, and although my unit was a home defence dedicated unit, large parts of the TA, the part-time, our version of your National Guard, were dedicated for Germany. So there was concerns if it went on for much longer, they'd be moving the regular army down from Germany to Falkland Islands, and the TA might have been called up to go out to Germany and wave at the Russians.
Oh wow!
Didn't happen,
So-
obviously. But,
So, Chris, send that link to Justin because
I
the
will.
ones on eBay were all almost $100.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, it looks like it's $25 with the conversion, but yeah, I'll go ahead and send that to him.
I mean that's. I would say that's probably not a bad price for what it is. I mean, I've got.
Yeah, I just picked up a reissue of the soundtrack to the Heavy Metal movie,
I
and
saw.
that was $30 here in the States. So
I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking. I've actually got loads and loads of. Interestingly enough, I don't have a record player anymore, but the very first thing I'm going to look at my things is one of the volumes of the Kids from Fame. Yes, I have the Fame albums from the movie and the TV series.
oh, nice.
Yes, I really like the TV series.
See,
I
it's
can
not
still
letting me
remember some
send
of the
via
songs.
Messenger, so I'm going to text it to him.
Yes,
So,
I know.
we'll have to start wrapping up because I know I need to get going, and I'm sure Father Apple has stuff too.
Yeah,
So we
on
don't
our
think we've got
podcast
it.
on the Legion Cast 18, we're still working on the new edition of the Horus Heresy game for Warhammer.
Oh,
We're
wow.
going to record again, I think, tomorrow night, our next little session on that, going over the new book.
Is that actually
Well-
is that actually a game, or is that just the
Yeah,
book?
so it's 40K, but it's 10,000 years earlier.
Yeah,
so
30K,
you're playing
I'm
mostly
afraid-
just
yeah.
the Space Marine factions.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little bit of the regular Imperial soldiers
That's
and
the one, PJ.
the Adeptus
Yeah.
Mechanicum.
Yeah.
Okay,
No, so
I
no,
got
because
one.
that's something ridiculous, isn't it? There's a ridiculous number of books in that, isn't there? Under Horus Heresy books, like
Yeah.
60 or 70 novels or something. And oh boy,
Yeah.
See, I got one clip I got to show before we leave. If I can find it. Let's see, where is it from yesterday?
interesting. I have minor problems with the Fame TV series. Is that I kind of half the time I watched that at the same time that Fame was out. North and South,
There we go.
the John Jakes TV series was out. So I've got Erica Gimple. I've got two visions of Erica Gimple in my mind. One is of Coco from Fame, the role that was played in the film by, I've forgotten who he was. And the other one, she was also one of the slaves in, sorry, I'm not allowed to use that word these days, in North and South. So it is, but at about the same time, yeah.
So this is a clip, a
Right,
little
cool.
video, a little game to play. It's only a minute, 50 seconds actually.
Had to chase the butterfly. I came out here to observe nature. What did you come out here for?
I came to the woods because I wished to live deliberately and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I
Walden.
came to die, discover that I had not lived.
Wow, Stewie, that was beautiful. Did you write that?
No, but can you tell me who did? Log on now.
B.
All right, let's tally up those responses. Wow. You know who that is? You know who Thornton Mellon? First of all, it was Henry David Thoreau. But do you know who Thornton Mellon is? That was Rodney
No.
Dangerfield's character in Back to School. You feel good about yourselves? Huh? This is why the other countries are beating us, you know. So, you know, you've got only yourself to blame next time you go to the vet and complain that that Indian doctor is too rough with your cat.
So on that note, anything to plug?
Not at the moment, no.
Well, I think you mentioned, Father, your podcast.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
is that
and
like- what channel is it on? Fine. When's it on?
let's see, it's on iTunes. I know we usually record over the weekend,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's posted on like a Tuesday.
Oh, I see. Okay.
okay.
We haven't convinced him to do YouTube yet, but I know Justin's been busy on his stuff with Comic Sense, so
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
he
So-
likes to
oh.
talk.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get him back next week. So, and we will be back next week. Like I said, I'm back, so I'm back to streaming. So
Excellent.
until then, thanks guys for joining me. Thanks for everybody for watching. We'll see you next
Have a
time.
good weekend, folks.
Hitting the